help me in welcoming Muthiora Kariara, who is the running mate to the presidential candidate, Japheth Kaluyu, on an independent ticket.
Thank you so much, Muthiora Kariara. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you do realize we have 6 podiums on the stage, and this is because we had anticipated that 6 running mates will be taking part in this debate. We do have Eliud Muthiora Kariara on stage. The other candidates that want to participate include Emmanuel Nzai, running mate to Ekuru Aukot of the Third Way Alliance.
All right, also tonight we had expected Joseph Momanyi, who's running mate to Cyrus Jirongo on the United Democratic Party ticket.
Also, we had anticipated that Moses Marango, running mate to Joseph Nyaga, an independent candidate, would be taking part in this debate.
As well as Miriam Mutua, who is running mate to Michael Wainaina on an independent ticket. And last but not least, of course, we had also hoped to have Titus Nyetuni, running mate to Mohammed Abduba Dida on the party Independent Alliance for, or rather, the Alliance for Real Change Party.
Yes, but ladies and gentlemen, we now have Eliud Muthiora Kariara. Once again, a round of applause for Mr. Kariara. Muthiora Kariara, thank you so much for agreeing to take part in this debate. Now, to many of our audience in the house and watching this debate on TV, Muthiora Kariara is not a very familiar name. And the man on stage that we see now could be described as a stranger to many. Now, I'll give you 90 seconds to make your opening statements. Tell us, who is Eliud Muthiora Kariara?
Hamjambo wa Kenya wenzangu. Jina langu ni Muthiora Eliud Kariara. Mimi ni mwaniaji mwenza wa Dr. Japheth Kavinga Kaluyu. We're seeking your votes in the forthcoming general elections on an independent ticket. It's been said that not much information is out there about me or my presidential candidate. But then those who have been seeking a leadership that is responsive and transformative, the kind of leadership that this nation needs, have encountered us. Now, we are Media Limited have taken to have this debate. They've given us a platform to tell Kenyans what we intend to do for them, should they give us the mandate to run this nation. The rules were a bit difficult for some of us to take. We wrote to the team and said that it would be good if they adjusted and gave us a single podium. There has been communication between the candidates. There has been communication between the debates media. And actually, I would like to make my statement that I was appalled when I had a statement from the Deputy President that there has not been consultation about them with regard to the debate. Truth of the matter is, there has been constant communication. Dr. Kavinga and I decided to step up and seek your mandate to lead this nation because we have leaders who are not ready to account to the nation. We are leaders who want to take Kenya to the next level. There has been so much talk. What Kenya needs is action. Action that's driven by sincerity. Action that's driven by patriotism. So you ask who Muthiora is. Muthiora ni kijana wa Kenya, kijana mzalendo. And Dr. Japheth Kavinga Kaluyu, my presidential candidate, and I are ready for duty.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bwana Kariara, for that opening statement. Now, you describe yourself as kijana. You'll be a heartbeat away from the presidency if at all your candidate is elected president come August the 8th. A heartbeat away from becoming commander-in-chief. Now, what would you say has prepared you for such an onerous task?
My journey as a leader began when I was a little kid. Fortunately, I have lived in almost every province of Kenya. I was born in Migori County. To be precise, a town called Isebania. My names, like they say in Kenya, betray me. When I say I'm Muthiora Kariara, people wonder how come I'm from Kuria. Now, I have lived amongst the Kuria. I went to school in Migori where I was with the Luo. I have lived amongst the Kalenjin. Today, I stand here not as one of the very privileged Kenyans that we have who live in the leafy suburbs of Nairobi. I actually live in Kawangware, where we have almost every tribe represented. I have seen the journey that Kenyans have to go through. Now, we were addressing what makes me think I'm qualified to be a heartbeat away from the presidency. I have led people. I have led teams. I've been a team player, and often when I stepped forward to take responsibility, I was given the chance because I'm a committed person. I know how to harness synergy. I know how to make a good call when I'm called upon. Like you guys in this auditorium here today and Kenyans watching me will agree that I made the right call coming for this debate. So I'll definitely be making the right decisions for Kenya. I am an independent thinker, and I'm not afraid to call it the way I see it, especially when there is proof that my judgment is correct. So I know I can run this nation should a situation arise that requires me to be head of state. I'm bold, I'm courageous. More than all that, I know how to make people work together. What Kenya needs is a leader who's not only willing to listen, but who's also willing to lead from the heart. Like I said earlier, I know Kenya's struggles because I go through that every day. So again, like I said in my opening statement, I'm ready for duty. You can count on me.
Muthiora, you mentioned that you've led teams. What teams and in what way are you leading them?
I've been a soccer player. I'll start at that. I remember at age 16, I was the CEO to a team down in Isebania. I brought these boys together because they needed a leader. Now, that's where I began to mobilize people for a common purpose. When I went ahead and joined university, I served as a student leader at the University of Nairobi. I was the SONU Secretary for Sports and Entertainment between the years 2005 and 2006. I was chairman for the Nairobi University Sports Council organization. And every time I got an opportunity to lead, the results were impressive. I was part of a team that's now defunct. It changed its name to City Stars. Then we were called World Hope after we transformed from Kawangware Football Club. And when I was part of these teams, we succeeded a great deal. Kawangware Sports Club, for the first time, debuted in the Premier League, and we made a good account of ourselves. We went on to be relegated after the first season because of the same problems that plague Kenya and sports and the youth. But then we were able to secure sponsorship as City Stars, and in one season, we were able to get back into the Premier League. So you go back to my record, I'm talking about my ability to function in teams. I'm not just a sportsman. I am a banker. I started my banking career at Consolidated Bank, and in a very short time, they trusted me to lead a team that was supposed to oversee the process of switching over from their old core banking system.
Okay.
And I delivered that with success.
Okay.
Now, besides that, we could go on and on, because my record really is a concrete one.
Thank you for that. And you describe yourself as a leader, but why the presidency? Why not any other leadership role? We have so many right now. Why the presidency?
I was born in Kenya. I live here. I have seen the problems that plague this nation. And I will tell you that to fix these problems, you need the right tools. You need the right instruments. Today, you ask someone to account, and they point to the top. They say, why would I do that when the people up there won't do the same? Now, to effect the kind of change that this nation needs, the office that provides the tools and the instruments is the presidency. So, feeling competent and ready, and because I'm allowed to contest for that position, I thought to step up and lead this nation in that capacity.
I need some clarity on that. Are you saying that these other roles that we have for leadership do not have the needed capacity, that you only need to be president for you to make any change?
Fred, when you're hungry and you need a meal, you buy maybe just a couple of vegetables, something small to satisfy you. But when you have to make a meal for a bigger population, then you need more resources, you need more space to do that. I could have vied for an MCA if I was satisfied that it's just the people in that locality who need good leadership. But then it's the whole nation that needs the kind of leadership that Dr. Kavinga and I are ready to offer. It's not just a constituency, it's not just a county, it's the whole nation. At the levels that you've just described, a lot of Kenyans are courageous and they're stepping up to take those roles. Where people are shying away from contesting is the positions that matter, because they think we will be judged that we are spoilers, or we might not be from a popular community, so let's not go for it. People are shying away from the ultimate responsibility, which is what we decided we're not going to take.
So what do you understand the role of the deputy president in Kenya to be?
The deputy president of Kenya is to act as president in case for some unfortunate, or not unfortunate, in case the president is not able to discharge his duty. He's supposed to be a symbol of national unity. He's supposed to be an office that offers leadership to the entire nation. So I understand the responsibilities that come with this position are huge, and I know I'm ready to handle that.
And how is it your position would weigh into that of the as president and you, if elected, as deputy president? You've talked about your office, if elected, deputy president. It's about national unity, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
And that if some misfortunes happen and you'd have to take over office. But how is it you come in supporting your candidate, if elected as president?
Well, I have an experience with the people of Kenya. I have an experience with the problems that face this nation. So every step that my president will be taking, I'll be there with him to help him make an informed choice about what action needs to be taken. I'm there on a supporting role for as long as he's able to discharge his duty. And when delegated to undertake national duties, I'll step up and do that.
Yes. You said that the principal role of the deputy president is to assist the president in discharging his duties. So far, we've had one deputy president since the promulgation of the Constitution. How different do you hope to define that role of deputy president? How different from the one deputy president that we've had?
We've had a government that, in my assessment, has made a good effort in serving the Kenyan people. They've done a good job. What we are saying is, it's not the best that this nation can do. We've had a government that, instead of leading in a consultative manner, it leads in an instructive manner. They make their own priorities and pursue to deliver on those priorities instead of delivering on the priorities of the people. The office of the deputy president in Kenya today is one that has been blamed for a lot of things, if I can say so. Now, the kind of an office we will put in place, my office will be one that does not instruct on what must be done, but will lead together with the people, because we hold power on behalf of the people, and it's to be used for the benefit of the people. That's going to be our main difference. We are not going to try and make it be just about power for the leaders. It's power that's to be harnessed for the people.
The presidential candidate, Japheth Kaluyu, describes himself as a Kenya diaspora. He does not live here. And many have criticized that, arguing that how is it he desires to be president and yet does not appear to be in touch, physically even, with the country and the needs and struggles of the people. What do you say to that?
I would say, number one, there's nothing wrong in a Kenyan living abroad. They go out there and there are hundreds of thousands of them. Check your records, you'll realize that the number one forex earner in Kenya today is remittances from the diaspora. That's how significant the diaspora is. My president, Dr. Japheth Kavinga Kaluyu, in the last 12 months, in the last 10 months, has visited Kenya 12 times. He came here to consult with people, to see how they are coping with whatever challenges that exist here. He is very much in touch with what's happening in Kenya. And besides just engaging with the youth, he has the backing of the older generation, because they see him as the visionary leader that he is. He's a leader who stands out, not just because he has clarity of purpose and vision, but because he's passionate in his pursuit for excellent service to the people. So Kenyans should not fear that he's from the diaspora. No, that's just where he works. That's where he makes his daily bread. But then, after he makes the money, what does he do with it? He sends it back home. It's invested here for the benefit of Kenyans.
For the benefit of Kenyans, and those are remittances that are coming in, but you also have taxpayers here in Kenya. There is a lot that's coming from within. So to those who argue, because one of the things you said that makes you competent for the job is that you live with the people, you understand the people. And you have just said he's come 10 times in 10 months. All right? And before that, for a long period of time, he was not here. So
the community in which he hails from, saw that there was need for one of their own to be sent abroad to go and learn something that could not be learned here. So he went abroad, specifically to the United States, and while there, he was able to obtain the best education offered by the universities in the United States. So he's been learning, gathering skills and knowledge that may not have been possible to gather locally. He has worked in Wall Street. He has consulted and worked for foreign governments. So when we talk about his experience, he's bringing in something that someone who has not left Kenya may not actually have. Now, look at me as his deputy president. I've told you that I'm born and bred here. I'm in touch with the heartbeat of Kenya. Now, look at the fusion of the two worlds. By the way, it's not that he does, every month he has to send remittances to support his friends and families here in Kenya. So it's not like he's coming to learn about what Kenya's problems are. He has researched and he has a concrete document. It's actually our blueprint for our manifesto. We call it the 6-point plan. This we developed together. His input, my input, in between Kenya's inputs. So make no mistake, he's a guy who's ready for duty, and he's bringing all that experience and knowledge that he's learned out there for the benefit of Kenya.
Okay, thank you. Enough of Japheth Kavinga Kaluyu. Let's discuss about Muthiora Kariara. And you said earlier, yes, you've worked in the banking industry. And as part of the thematic issues that you're handling in this debate is economy. The capping of bank interest rates has been cited as having partly contributed to failure by the current administration to achieve double-digit growth. As a banker, do you agree with that assessment?
Not 100%. The capping of interest rates was to help people who borrow to not get exploited by this banking system that we've had before the rule became law, the bill became law. Now, obviously when there's new legislation and people are trying to adjust, sometimes we have teething problems, which is what Kenya is currently experiencing. The banks were used to making, sorry if I'll use this word, pornographic profits.
Come again?
Our Kenyan banks are used to making profits that are abnormal.
Okay.
I said pornographic because sometimes it's good to be sincere.
Let's go with obscene.
I totally agree, but I'm disappointed because what they have been doing is looting Kenyans through those interest rates which were obnoxious. Now, the profits they're making today are acceptable. They are within range. They're still able to do business. The only thing they have not accepted is that that's the new normal. Now, they have made the rules on borrowing difficult. And unfortunately, our government has helped them in that quest because instead of looking for other avenues to raise revenue, our government has also been borrowing heavily in our local financial markets. Now, my idea would be when we take power, when Kenyans give us the mandate to run this nation, and I'm sure there'll be very rational leaders coming into the next parliament, we will look into how we can change the capping. You see, we have capped the upper limit. Now, what we need to change within that framework is give the banks some room to play with between the CBR rate and the upper limit. that would give the banks a bit more flexibility in terms of borrowing. And then we go hard on them to make sure that they do not deny people credit just because it's not profitable for them.
What does that mean, going hard on them? Because what this cap has done with banks trying to survive is deny many Kenyans loans because of the risks involved. So what do you mean when you say go hard on banks?
We look to institute regulations that tax money that lies idle, that's just kept there, maybe for speculative purposes. When banks hold money and not give it out because they don't think the customers are creditworthy, we will have in place rules that actually make it expensive for banks to just hold money that they should otherwise be lending out.
All right, let's get to the audience now, and I understand we have some questions. And I'll begin with Desmond Boy, who is a monitoring and evaluation specialist. Desmond?
Thank you, and thank you for your good presentation. Now, just on the economy bit, I want to ask what you'll do about the national debt. We are being weighed down as a country because of the national borrowing that we are experiencing in the current government. What do you plan to do? How will you manage the national debt? Simply that.
Go ahead.
I want to start by saying that borrowing is beneficial when the funds are utilized for the purpose for which they were borrowed. We have not reached a level where it's unsustainable. We still have projects that will give return to this nation. Now, I can't tell you that when you give us the mandate to run this nation and fix the economy, we will not continue to borrow. We will borrow when we need to, when it's feasible to do so. But before we get to borrow more than we actually can afford to pay, Desmond, we will first go into trying to get revenue from domestic sources, and that is, we will focus on tax collection. You realize that a very small fraction of Kenyans actually pay their taxes. Our main idea is to increase the tax base so that we can raise revenue, not through borrowing, but through getting money from taxes.
So you intend to tax more Kenyans, and where is this you'd be extending this bracket to cover?
Actually, you have it the other way around. In our 6-point plan, we intend to cut taxes. What I said we are going to do is we are going to increase the tax base.
So
Today,
tax more people for less.
yes, there are a lot of people in Kenya who make money, but then they do not contribute to our nation building by sharing their income with the rest of the country. Maybe because there are a few loopholes here and there in our tax collection. So we actually intend to put in place an integrated database where we will get everyone in Kenya who's working to be captured, so that whatever money they make, we are able to tap onto that. And at least within the first 3 years, we would like for our tax base to go to a level of at least 40%. That's our target. With that kind of revenue, we know we'll be able to take care of a lot of development in this nation. So cutting taxes, that is key for us because we intend to make life affordable for all Kenyans. VAT if I can continue in the line of taxes, we actually are purposing to abolish VAT. Now, you'll ask, how are we going to be able to get money? Now, instead of VAT, we are proposing to have a sales tax of 4%. That we believe will give Kenyans an opportunity to have disposable income so that even as they go to work, they have some income that even after spending or consuming, they have something to save. We do not want to lead a nation of the working poor. We want to trust Kenyans more with their money. And if anything, while we still try to slay the monster of corruption, we want you to have your money and decide what you do with it more as we fix this country together.
Okay. Let's take the second question from a member of the audience. And once I call out your name, kindly walk to the aisle. You'll answer the question from that point. The next question will be asked by Marcellus Otieno from the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Marcellus?
Thank you very much. This country has more than 72 universities. We have more than 200,000 graduates being produced every year. And the key question is, as your government, in case you are given the mandate, what do you plan to do in job creation or absorption of these graduates to reduce the wastage of the number of graduates?
Well, I'll say Kenya is a blessed country. We have a lot of brilliant young people. And the world acknowledges and appreciates how much service we give to it through the brains we have shared. My presidential candidate, Dr. Japheth Kavinga Kaluyu, you said he's from the diaspora. Now, he has contacts abroad. He has people who are willing to mentor our graduates. Our plan is actually to get each of the over 500,000 people in the diaspora to mentor at least 10 of the graduates we have in Kenya. Now, that mentorship program will help our youth get that kind of an international exposure that they need. It will help them to open up their view into what's really expected of a global citizen. Now, in terms of job creation, we know that the next frontier, the frontier that will lift Kenya into the level where we ought to be, is we empower the informal sector. Our government is committed to creating a conducive business environment for startup businesses. It's committed to ensuring that the businesses we have currently prosper. Now, the question is, how exactly are we going to do that? Now, number one, we will focus on creating the kind of jobs that the youth actually want. Our problem has been the governments and regimes that we've had treat the youth like they are a problem. They treat the youth like this is something that needs to be solved, when in fact, the youth are a resource that needs to be harnessed. Our unemployment is over 40%. We aim to cut that by 50% by the time we are done with our first term. Our main investment will be in technology-oriented jobs. We have a plan to go down to the wards and in a radius of 5 kilometers have a hotspot that will be based in a community resource center. Now, this community resource center will be manned and run by the fresh graduates that my friend Marcellus mentioned. We've heard about our competitors promising to give 18 months mentorships. We don't know where these companies they intend to send these students or fresh graduates into. But what we know is our graduates are qualified, they are ready. What they lack may be the basic skills to help them hit the tarmac when they graduate. Now, deploying them to the community resource centers will help them connect with the communities where we will post them. Now, we had figures allocated for this, and within our first year, we intend to roll this out by committing at least 10 billion to these community resource centers. Now, these are centers where we will help to connect the diaspora to the communities through the fresh graduates that are coming out of our colleges every day. Now, one of the biggest challenges we have in Kenya is people lack basic skills to do even the most basic of jobs. Our government promises to offer free basic skills training to anyone who is of age and is ready to contribute to nation building. Now, when you equip the people with the right skills and give them information, and then you show them where the opportunities are, we'll be able to create employment in a way that has not been done before. Besides that, our main focus is to make Kenya food secure. I mentioned that we intend to make our youth have the kind of jobs they want to do. So we'll focus on making agriculture something, an enterprise that the youth will be willing to venture into.
All right, Muthiora, let me pick up something. You've been talking about creating jobs for youth that they actually want to do. Talk to us more specifically about those policy programs you'd come up with to achieve this.
Maybe to illustrate the point, I will refer to something that we all are familiar, the National Youth Service. That has been an intervention by our government that has not quite worked because not every youth wants to go to the National Youth Service. I know there are youth who want to do online jobs. And by online jobs, I mean we have accountants who are ready to work freelance, but then they do not have access to the market. We have very well-educated Kenyans who can do transcription work. We have Kenyans who are ready to do academic writing and research work. Now, most of them do not have information about how they can engage into these kinds of jobs. We know we have a film industry that has not blossomed like it should, and a lot of our youth want to get into these kinds of jobs. Now, when I say we will be committed to giving the youth the kind of jobs that they are willing to do, that's what I'm talking about. Sio kazi kwa vijana, pesa kwa wazee, twende tuchimbe mitaro. The youth, yeah, they'll do that because there's nothing else to be done. But then, give them the kind of a job they need, and they will do it with all the passion.
Okay. Let's take another question from a member of the audience. Nerima Wako from Busia County, kindly move to the aisle. Nerima Wako with the third question from the audience.
Hello, Nerima.
Hi. I commend your brevity to stand for national leadership. The question that I had for you, you've mentioned youth and you being a youth leader, and you've mentioned the job creation and food security. What do you think you can bring to the table as a young candidate that young people are facing today in Kenya?
My answer is creativity and innovation. Nerima, I'll give you my story. When I graduated from the University of Nairobi, I tarmacked for about almost a year. But while I was tarmacking, I realized I needed to cover my costs. And I needed money for that. There was no one who was ready to loan me. There was no one who was ready to support me. So I had to innovate. I started farming right after my university. The kind of farming I did was pig rearing. Now, you will ask, I did not have the capital, and this is how I want the youth to tackle the problem of unemployment. Now, I realized that we have a lot of garbage in Nairobi, and our garbage collectors do not do a good job. So since I had this idea about how I could do pig farming, I knew that from the garbage we have in restaurants, I could get pig's will. So I approached a couple of restaurants along Agwings Kodek Road. For those who live in Nairobi, you may know the road. And I told them, I have noticed that you people have a problem with your garbage collectors, but then I can do this job for you at a cheaper cost, more efficiently. And most of them looking at me, I was still quite young and I looked funky then. I was never used to wearing suits like I do today. They said, okay, let's see you because the other guys have failed us. And I got a contract to do garbage collection. I would give a name of the restaurant, but then I think that's not right. But they trusted me and they gave me a month to do the garbage collection. Now, I got the job to collect garbage. I have an idea to rear pigs. I don't have a truck. I don't have a site where I'll do the pigs thing. So I approached someone and asked them if they could lend me some space and I would pay them rent for the space. And fortunately, they accepted. And I was able to get space to put up a structure for the pigsty. Now, the next problem was, where do I get the pigs? I knew of a friend who had a problem with pigs, and I told him, if you give me 10 pigs, in 6 months they'll have fattened, and you can give me 3 of them. Now, what I was looking for is, I have garbage that I have to dispose. I don't have where to throw this garbage. But if I collect it, I come, feed it to the pigs, it will be consumed. The pigs will fatten. In 6 months, I'll have something to take to market. I'll be able to pay the rent. I'll have made some money for myself. Everybody wins. That was how I was able to get my startup capital for the businesses that I have run since then. So I will ask the youth not to see agriculture as something for the old people. We can do animal husbandry. We can do crop farming. We know we have technology today that allows us to maximize on crop production. We have gone to school, and if we do not know something, we can research some more. But with the government that's led by Dr. Kavinga and I, we'll be able to deploy to the ground extension officers who will work with the people and make sure that they understand exactly what they are doing. What path Kenya needs to take right now in terms of assuring food security is the path of agribusiness. That's what I tried to do. I did it from scratch. It worked. I'm here today. I'm a success story. And I want to challenge every Kenyan out there who does not have a job to not wait for people to provide them with an opportunity, but then to take it upon themselves and create an opportunity. Because Kenya has endless possibilities, and as long as we are willing to commit to that, we will fight unemployment.
Thank you, Bwana Kariara. And because of the slight change in format, we do realize that you've been standing there and talking non-stop. There's some water just down there. You can access it and take a sip as we ask you another question.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Go ahead.
Please go ahead. It should be behind the podium.
Behind the podium.
Okay.
All right, and as you sip some water, I read your manifesto, and it stood out what it says about corruption, because your manifesto says your administration would finally bring an end to corruption. And I'm sure many Kenyans would like to hear how you intend to do that. First, sip some water, please.
I'm sure that's going to be the highlight of this debate. So a drink of water, even for those in the audience, would actually help. Kenya loses over 700 billion to corruption. That's about a third of our budget, national budget. You make money and then you throw it away. What's the point in making the money in the very first place? We intend to use common sense. Where I come from, I told you, I live in Kawangware. Mwizi akishikwa, I don't know, is anyone here from the ghetto? Do you have experience in the streets? What do we do to the thieves? Do we wait to take them to court when we catch them red-handed? We deal with them right on. Now, I do not represent any special interest group. Most of you have not known about me because I was not funded by any cartel. My president has no affiliations to any cartels in this nation. So when we assume office, you can be sure we won't have entrepreneurs.
Allow me to jump in. When you say you deal with them right on, what do you mean?
What I mean is this. Okay, you may ask now, let me just explain it in a holistic manner. We are counting on the Kenyan people to help us fight corruption. How we can achieve that today is this way. On August the 8th, we have an opportunity for our voice to be heard through the ballot. If you help us by electing into office MCAs, women representatives, MPs, senators, and governors who are beyond reproach, then you are helping us to start the war against corruption. Now, my appeal to you is you make the job easy for us by, number one, only voting for leaders of integrity. If a leader has a questionable character, if there's any shred that they have been involved in looting public coffers, my appeal to you is do not vote for them. Fagia wote. We are running for president, and we know that the Jubilee government has been the most corrupt government that this nation has ever had. So my appeal to you as we seek to have a nation of integrity is vote them out. Vote for Dr. Japhet Kavinga Kaluyu because he's going to be the beginning of the end of corruption. Now, after we vote in the right leaders, leaders who have no track whatsoever with graft, then when we get to parliament, these leaders will have a duty to put into law a legislation that, number one, will make sure that once a public officer has been cited to have committed a corrupt offense, they will step aside. And while they step aside, all their assets will be frozen.
Okay.
We are talking about bank accounts. We are talking about land. We are talking about all financial instruments that they have.
Okay.
So that while they are under investigation, they will not be able to transact on anything.
Thank you so much, Bwana Eliud Muthiora Kariara. I want to give you 90 seconds more for your closing remarks because we've come to the end of this session. 90 seconds.
Dear Kenyans, I told you that my name is Muthiora Kariara. Sometimes it gets difficult, and you guys have been very serious here. Now, nitazungumza kwa Kiswahili ili tuelewane na wote. Kuna kasumba ambayo imetembezwa nchini kuwa uchaguzi unaokuja ni kuhusu NASA na Jubilee. Nataka kuwakumbusha kuwa uchaguzi unaokuja ni kukuhusu wewe Mkenya. Jiulize, hali yako ya maisha leo hii ni bora kuliko ilivyokuwa miaka 4.5 iliyopita? Huduma ya afya ni bora sasa ama imedorora kuliko ilivyokuwa miaka 4 iliyopita? Tuna jinamizi la ufisadi limekithiri mizizi zaidi ya ambavyo hali ilikuwa miaka michache iliyopita, ama tunafaulu? Ni rahisi kupigana na ufisadi Kenya kama itakavyokuwa kujaribu kuuza kiberiti Jehanamu? Iwapo jibu lako ni kuwa vitu viko sawa, basi kura yako ni wazi utaiweka wapi. Niambie kama kiongozi unaipania kumpa kura yako amejitwika majukumu ya kutumbuiza Wakenya kwa njia ya vitendawili, mbwembwe na namna zingine za kutangaza mpira badala ya kuongoza chama chake na wajumbe kukabiliana na serikali badhirifu ya Jubilee.
Okay.
Kama chaguo lako ni kuwa Kenya iko sawa, then we are not your kind of candidates. But if you're tired of status quo, then you know that you have to vote for Dr. Japheth Kavinga Kaluyu, because
Yes.
status quo
And
favors
your time
Uhuru
is up.
Kenyatta. Status quo favors Raila Odinga. For you, fellow Kenyan, and me to have a fair chance at making it in Kenya, everything must change. But for these two political elites, everything must remain the same.
Okay,
Let's
thank
move the
you.
nation forward. We're ready for duty, and we urge you to join us and vote for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eliud Muthiora Kariara, running mate to candidate Japheth Kaluyu on an independent ticket. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our running mates. You can kindly step forward to this position and acknowledge the applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and that was our first edition of the